And, and here we are, people. What is going on? Welcome to another episode of the Series X podcast, the podcast where we do nothing but talk about Xbox. No other consoles, no other platforms, strictly Xbox news and entertainment for the Xbox gamers out there. And of course, I see a lot of Xbox gamers in the chat already. What is going on, chat? It is really, really good to see you guys. It is really good to be back with none other than my partner in crime, the elusive gamer, Jamie Moran. What is going on, bro?
Hey, dude, man, it's good to be back, and finally we can talk about some really cool stuff on the lead up to launch because we're like a week away, which is it's exciting.
I got you, dude. And I've been watching your Twitter posts like every about 15 minutes or so. You're posting about how you're waiting for your email to certify that you are getting the Series X, bro. It hasn't come in yet? You haven't gotten that confirmation?
No, but the good news is that I checked my Microsoft wallet and they took out around about £100, which means that if the email does go through and it's all right, that means I've gotten an Xbox Series X for £100 off.
Oh, nice, dude, nice. And that's a good way to kind of watch and see if it is going through. That is slick, Jamie. You are a smart man. You know that.
I try.
Well, I will say, guys, unfortunately, due circumstances, economic and whatnot, I wasn't able to pre-order a Series X or a Series S. I will be one of those people, doing the whole waiting game, but that's cool. I believe my son, my 17-year-old, he actually got his pre-order down, so I will be able to check out the games, see how it runs, stuff like that through his Series X. So I might not own one right away, but I will have the ability to try it out, test it out, play games on it and stuff like that, and I will be able to let you guys know exactly what I think. So that's good news right there. It was something that I knew I couldn't afford it, but of course my son's grandmother and his aunt, they spoil the crap out of him, man. So he is definitely getting one. So shout out to Mad Skills. Yo, shout out to the chat, yo. It is good to see you guys. What is up, Skin? What is up, Mizzle? Mizzle, you are like living on my channel with me, which is not a problem at all. What is up, Bounty Boom? Crispy Bomb, Shizno, Juan Castillo, all you guys. It is really good to see you guys. Now, I will remind you guys, when it comes down to it, this is a completely Xbox show. Me and Jamie are going to do our best here to talk nothing but Xbox. And we asked the chat to do the same thing. I know Crispy's in here, and he is a good enforcer. If anybody puts anything about another platform, he will definitely take that out of the chat. Guys, we are here to talk about Xbox. No comparison, no console war BS. Just a place for Xbox gamers to come and talk about the platform that they prefer to play on. So, with that being said, yo, Jamie, let's start this off a little more casually, all right? Because we haven't been here for a couple weeks, and I want to know, man, what have you been up to these last few weeks? Has there been a game that you've been diving in like hard on? What have you been up to since we did our little kind of like hiatus because of me and medical issues and whatnot, man?
Whew, where to start? I've been getting into The Witcher again.
Oh no.
But yeah, the thing about that game is that I never got to the expansion packs, and I decided right before Cyberpunk comes out to start them, which wasn't exactly the best idea. But hey, I'm having fun with it, and the expansions in that game so far are incredible. I've finished Heart of Stone. I've still got the bigger one to go, which is Blood and Wine, which is apparently like 25 hours.
The vampire stuff, man.
Yeah, I've still got that to do, so I'm going to try and do that before Cyberpunk comes out, which is...
Dude, I heard the DLC could have basically been like their own games for the amount of content that's in them and stuff like that. Is that something that seems to be right? Like they're really the DLC for Witcher 3, they're that big?
Yeah, I mean, I put it like this, like Heart of Stone is around about 10 hours.
Okay.
and Blood and Wine is apparently 25 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we look at all the games that's come out this generation. Like these expansions have more gameplay than some games that's released. Um, but yeah, I've just been playing them, and I've been getting into Ghost Runner, the new Cyberpunk game. And if you like challenging games, that is one to play. That game has kicked my behind so much. It adds difficulty by letting you know how bad you are, because when you fail, it's your fault. Much like Dark Souls,
Oh wow.
and it's the type of game where you get hit once, you die. That's it.
Mm.
And imagine Doom, but you have a samurai sword and you're super fast. That's kind of what Ghost Runner is. It's just
You,
it's mirrors
oh.
it's Mirror's Edge meets Dishonored with a dash of Doom, all in one
Oh,
package.
hold on,
And
Jamie. There's a game. It's a two D platformer, and I gotta say, lately I haven't really gotten into like I've been kind of veering away from violent games lately. I go through waves. You know what I'm saying? Where because I play a bunch of other games as well. You know, I play golf. I play like Forza. I play Guitar Hero, stuff like that. So I go through waves. But there was this 2D, and it's not on my dashboard anymore. But it was a Game Pass game. It's like Samurai Blade or something like that. As you were talking about that, like with the blade, it reminded me. It looked like a really cool game, and I don't know if you heard of it. It's in Game Pass though.
Shadow Warrior.
No. Like I said, it's a 2D side scroller, kind of like it kind of has like that, almost like pixelated Castlevania vibe to it. But you're like a samurai. It's oh man, let me
Oh,
as
Neon Abyss.
no
Was
no
that
I
it?
played that, but yeah, that was good, but no.
Katana
Uh,
Zero.
yeah, there it is, Katana Zero. There
Yeah,
it is.
I've
Have you
played that.
tried that?
Yeah, it's very good. And again, it's much like a Super Nintendo game back in the day with the art style, but
But
it's
it's
really
really,
good.
really fast and smooth, though, man. Like from what I was seeing from the gameplay. Yo, and Pong and Juan in the chat. Good job, guys. Juan was out. He was like Katana something, and Pong Katana Zero Shizno. So they know what I'm talking about. Yo, guys, in the chat, let me know if you've tried it out and what you think, man. Because it looked really interesting. Although right now I'm not in the wave of that type of game, it's cool that it's in Game Pass, and it looks like a game that's going to be in there for a while too. So, yo, Shizno said it's a very good game as well. Um, but yeah, all right, Jamie. And anything else, man? Anything else besides Witcher? Anything else that you dove in hard with since we've been gone?
Brutal Legend.
Really?
Yeah, I played it back in the day when it released, but I stopped playing because of the whole RTS stuff, like close to the end of the game. But I don't know, I was just in the mood for like some metal. So, Brutal Legend is that game you should play for that. And it just makes you think like last generation, like some developers just made what they want and they weren't concerned about getting like a super high Metacritic score.
Mm.
It's just pure fun. Like Brutal Legend, like is a really good game, and it's something I hope that Double Fine can make a sequel of, because I know Jack Black wants to do one, and I know Double Fine has been wanting to do one, and Microsoft could probably fund it, and it probably wouldn't even cost that much.
Yeah, I know, and we all know Microsoft, man. They got deep pockets, and they're definitely let Xbox in on the family wallet, especially recently. So like, yeah, I mean, what's a lot of money to them? You know what I'm saying, though? Really.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good game, and even though it has got RTS stuff towards the end, and I like RTS games, but it just seems so out of place in the game. I still recommend people should play it because it is a unique game.
nice, brother. I will say, and this is to you, Jamie, as well. But I'm gonna let the chat know. I tried to get Jamie to play Rocket League with me, aka Soccer Cars. But Jamie, you said that game's not for you, huh, bro?
Yeah,
You're not gonna
he's
download it for me, man.
here's the thing. I've played Rocket League. It's just not for me. The thing is,
Ah,
I play that and I think I could be playing FIFA. Like, that's what comes down to it. And the thing is, when it comes to like games this generation, I'm still playing FIFA from 2013. Like, no FIFA since
mhm.
then has surpassed it to me. And I've played Rocket League. It's just it's football with cars. Like,
It definitely is, man. It definitely is, and it's one of those games that has kind of hooked me. I will. I'll kind of throw the blame to one of the 13-year-olds. Yo, shout out to Evan because he got me back into playing that game, and it was a lot of fun. And then when me and Evan kind of like team up with one of his friends, of course we were playing like the casual rounds or whatnot, but dude, we won at least 3 times more games than we lost. So it was, not only was it fun, but we were winning as well. And yeah, you know, Jamie, those types of games, man, when you're winning, it's just that much more fun. You just want to keep playing more. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly what was going on. I I will say I did download a Game Pass kind of like bundle for Forza Horizon 4. It had like 3 new cars. It had 3 different cars in it that I didn't see in the game before. And if you have Game Pass, then you can go and check out they have different bundles for different games. So now I have one of my absolute favorite cars in the game, and I souped it up. I gave it all-wheel drive, and I gave it twin turbos. But the Pagani Zonda R, I now have that sucker like fully equipped with twin turbos and all-wheel drive, and that car is absolutely amazing in that game. So shout out to them for doing like those little perks, those little bundles for Game Pass games. But Jamie, I think we should get into the topics, man. I think it's about that time, and I think we should get into one that you brought up for last week, but unfortunately we didn't get to. We didn't get to go live. Unfortunately, I wasn't feeling that well, getting closer to, when we were going live or whatnot. But that would be Gears 5. And from what you're telling me, I'm going to let you take over on this one, so this way you can let people know what's going on. But from what I'm hearing, story, DLC, and other goodies are coming to this game. Let the people know what's coming to the game, when it's coming, and then of course what you're thinking about it all, man.
Yeah, so Microsoft, they've doing this thing where they slowly drip feeding like different pieces of news each week up until launch, and to me that's like the right way to do things. Mm-hmm. It just gets people hyped and stay hyped, and they announced a bunch of new Gears stuff. So when it comes to the enhancements, you're gonna have things like contact shadows, and if you know what those are, that means that even things on the ground have shadows, and individual bricks cast their own shadows. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at an entire image, it just makes the scene look more realistic, and that's something we want with next generation. So
hold on. Real quick, Crispy's like, speak for me, Jamie. No. See, me and Jamie, we're in this together, partners in crime, and there's going to be things that he's going to describe to you guys, and then there's going to be things that I describe to you guys. Jamie, that's the way we're doing it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone likes their own thing, but
go ahead. My bad, dude.
No, it's alright. But so contact shadows. So again, areas are going to look more realistic. Higher detail when it comes to character models, higher polygon count, and essentially you're getting the ultra version on PC with some extra stuff. So for a console, that's impressive. 60 frames cutscenes. So what the problem was with the campaign for some people is that when it went from gameplay to cutscene, it would go from 60 to 30 because cutscenes ran at 30.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be an issue now, and just a bunch of small things like that. Visual tweaking and stuff. But one of the big things that you do into the campaign is that when you start off, you're going to have a bunch of mutators that you can click on and off. So much like Halo with the skulls, mutators will work like that in the Gears campaign. So you're going to have like big head mode and stuff like that. And, enemies that, explode with like more gore kind of thing. Just stuff like that, And personally, I like things like that because it's not like activating a cheat. It's just activating something extra, and like
a graphical enhancement. Something like if you're like not for anything, but when I cut this dude in half, it just doesn't do it for me. Now with that added gore, it might kind of like get it to the point where that gamer is like, what, I appreciate that right now. It's the little things a lot of the time, man.
Yeah, and some visual things. So I think I saw one where it'll make the game look like a comic book, which looked pretty cool. Yeah,
see, that sounds cool.
And the biggest thing for the campaign that is like an upgrade kind of thing is that you're going to be able to select at the beginning of the campaign if you want Marcus Phoenix to be played by Dave Bautista. which is huge because that means he's voiced the role for the entire game, and they've like it literally looks like Dave Bautista in the game now, and it's kind of weird because we used to seeing Marcus
That
Phoenix for.
See, that's what I was gonna ask you, because there's some people who are like, yo, that's really cool, but then there's other people, they have the diehard Gears fans who are more purists, and I know this from being on the Halo community as well. I know there are groups like that, especially with established franchises and stuff. Like, what do you think about the whole Dave Bautista thing? Because like I see it in the community almost like a 50-50 split here. Some people are like, oh, that's really cool, and other people are like, dude, you're taking my most iconic character and then you're replacing him with a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think about that, man?
I mean, to me, it's just an optional mode. It's much like how in Halo you can turn a skull on that makes grunts burst like birthday surprises
birthday
or whatever.
Party. I always turn that on. By the way,
to me, it's just an option. Like to me, he isn't Marcus in the game. But I will play, the game again with him as Marcus just to like mix things up a bit. It's just an option, This is one of those things where people will react to the news thinking, "Oh my God, we're changing to Batista with Marcus Phoenix from now on." It's just an extra thing we got a year later for the console launch. So to me, it's like it's a cool option. Like if people don't want Dave Batista to be Marcus Phoenix in the game, they don't have to, And like for me, if I play Gears again next year, I'll probably not have Dave Bautista as the main character. But to me, I just like options, and it's just a cool option. So I think it's something that people shouldn't really be split on because it's an option.
It's funny because everybody in the chat, from what I'm seeing in the chat, shout out to you guys, man. Everybody is right on. They're in the same lane as you, and it's like, as long as it's an option, it's not forced. As long as they're not just taking him out of it and then putting Batista in, like I see everybody is really supporting that. And while I have your attention, guys, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, share this show out. Let's get as many Xbox gamers in here as possible. I know we have been gone for a few weeks, but we are back, and I want to see this chat packed with Xbox gamers excited about what's coming for the platform. But yeah, dude, they all seem to be in agreement with you, brother.
But here's the thing, Dave Bautista's a likable person, and the thing that people like are willing to give him a pass for a lot of things is that when it comes to Gears, is that he's a genuine fan. He played the Gears games. He likes them. It's much like why do people like Henry Cavill so much when it comes to the Witcher series? It's because he's passionate about the games themselves. And it's the same with Batista with Gears. It's one of the main reasons why people want him to be Marcus in the movie. And it's one of the reasons why he wants to be Marcus in the movie, because he's a fan. So, it's just an option. It's a fun option. And but the juicy thing is the expansion. And that came out of nowhere because there's been rumors for about 6 months that would there be story DLC, and whenever I hear rumors like that, I like to do some digging, and sometimes the rumors just end up with being a random person on Twitter wishing for something, which, hey, I've done that myself. But it's going to get...
Hold on, you started rumors, sir? No, I'm just playing. I am just playing, Jamie.
It's all right. But apparently it's going to be called Hive Busters. It comes out in December. It's going to feature the cast of the Hive mode, and we haven't seen much. We've literally just been told it's around the new cast of the Hive people. But other than that,
hold on. Let's give people the proper when it comes to Hive Busters. These groups of people, they go in deep into hives, right? Basically deep into enemy territory. They are basically suicide missions. None of them expect to get out alive. I mean, Jamie, we got to put the right tension in on this, because when it comes to this story, you're going to be put in places where you are going to be fighting your ass off to get out, to succeed in blowing up that hive and to get out and continue with that story. I mean, to me, that sounds really cool. Like whenever they put you into a group that's doing like suicide missions, like some of the most popular kind of like action movies are coming from either a group or a solo person that's doing something that is a suicide mission, or how are you gonna You're never gonna get out of that alive, and that is the tension of the story. That's what really I think should have a lot of people excited for that expansion.
Yeah, and plus it gives the escape characters more lore because they virtually say not much in that game other than one-liners and stuff while you're playing and like the beginning cutscene. But yeah, I mean it's just enriching Gears lore, and the thing is like we get more content featuring more new Gears characters we can talk about because again this is outside of the main campaign. They're going to be going into hives doing these suicide style missions, and yeah, it's going to be cool, man. Because again we know nothing about these characters and it's just a nice surprise because we haven't had not really like a Gears expansion since 2 where there was the alternate route when you were underground and that was a very short chapter mix up. But yeah, it's just interesting because it seems like Microsoft is wanting to lengthen single player content with single player expansions now.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's something I've been wanting Microsoft to do for ages. It's one of the reasons why I really liked that co-op mode in Halo 4. I can't remember, Spartan Ops. Like, I
Yeah.
loved that.
Oh yeah, and
It,
that's the story, and it gets to a certain point where something happens to Halsey. Like I feel weird actually saying it, but the Spartan Ops, it started off slow. It did. The first like 2 episodes, like it just felt kind of like it almost felt like a horde mode with like a cutscene at the end. But once you get past the first 2 episodes, like the story starts ramping up, and it got really good, dude.
yeah, and the thing is, like, this kind of takes me back to the 360 generation because I felt that generation we got more expansions for single player content than we have this generation, and that goes like towards all games. So for me, like that's one of the most exciting things because, like, again, Microsoft seems to be leaning into doing more content for their existing games, which gives them more life, more people play them, more people go back to them. And hey, if it wasn't for stuff like this, maybe we wouldn't be getting the Batista stuff day one, for
Yeah.
Xbox Series X. So it's just exciting all around because it leads into more possibilities for other games, which are coming out in like the near future and whatnot. So potentially when Hellblade 2 comes out down the line, we could possibly see single player DLC. And that's a cool aspect when it comes to Microsoft's first party lineup because they have all these games coming, but they
Mm-hmm.
also have potentially so many expansions coming.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look back to all the games I played on 360, like I bought expansion packs almost every other week on games. Like nearly every game had an expansion pack. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's something I want to see more of next generation. This is a good sign for that.
Oh, definitely. And dude, two reasons for kind of like the expansions here. Now, first off, let's we can't be coy. Like when it came down to first party, when it came to the launch of the Series X, the Series S, Microsoft and Xbox, they put all their chips on Halo Infinite because let's be honest, it's one of the most popular franchises out there. Absolutely iconic, up there with other ones that I'm not going to mention because this is the Series X podcast, but it is right up there on the Mount Rushmore when it comes to video game franchises. And unfortunately, when it came down to it, they weren't going to have it out and ready, for the launch. And we are going to talk about Halo Infinite a little bit later on in the show because there's some good things to be said about what's going on with that game as well. But that and with Game Pass, and Xbox wanting to have people feel like the games are staying fresher in Game Pass, that option to use the subscription, and then if you throw that DLC into Game Pass for people who have Game Pass, all of a sudden now you got more story to play in Gears. You got all these new things to mess around with in Gears. And even if you bought Gears and then you have the subscription to Game Pass, you can, if it goes into Game Pass, you can just use your Game Pass subscription for the expansion and still continue with more of the game that you like to play. I think these are two of the main reasons why we're going to see this in the future. I think the main reason has to do with Game Pass. I mean, Game Pass, such an incredible value when it comes down to how much you're paying per month, how many games are there, first party games day and date. And then if they add in that DLC into Game Pass to keep the games fresh, to keep people playing the games on Game Pass, and to keep people subscribing longer, I think it's a win-win all the way around. Even if you buy your games or you subscribe to Game Pass, you're getting new content to keep the first party absolutely fresh and to keep that replay value going. You see what I'm saying, Jamie?
Oh yeah, I mean, think about it like this. Let's say someone subscribes to Game Pass for, well, let's use Gears, and they don't really play the multiplayer. You know, they play Escape, they play Horde, they play the campaign. Well, a year's passed. What new have they got to play? Just some different maps for Horde and Escape. Well, now they're going to get the expansion as well, and that keeps them, back into Game Pass. And the thing is, when I mentioned like why I'm so excited about single player content being added to these games is that you have to think about like this, like how many years is there going to be in between each Gears game from now on? 5, 4, 3? We don't know because things change. But if they supplement the time in between sequels with these single player expansions, that just keeps everything more fresh. And it's not really just about the whole Game Pass thing. It's about keeping Gears fans interested because, look, I'm a hardcore Gears fan, but I do not play multiplayer. I play the campaign and I play Horde.
Crispy just growled at you in the chat, I bet. Like, when he hears that, he's going to be
like, no, I get it. Like, multiplayer is a popular thing for Gears, but it's just not for me. Like, but I've played Gears 2, the campaign for that, probably around 30 times. I love Gears campaigns, but for me, like, this just gives me another reason to jump back in because I don't play multiplayer for that game. And when it comes to, I know this is a side rant, I personally think that multiplayer this generation hasn't been as good as last generation. That
Really?
goes, yeah, for in general. Like, if I look at my catalog on the shelf, I was playing things like Battlefield, multiple different CODs, Medal of Honor, Halo I was more into back then. Even Gears 2. For some reason, I played Gears 2 online for the first few months, but it's like, I just feel like multiplayer this generation has been lackluster. Here, we had Battlefield 4 come out at launch. It was broken. Then they eventually fixed it, but there was no one playing it anymore. Titanfall comes...
Sorry. Yo, Crispy said something to you in the chat. He said, so you are not hardcore then, Jamie. Sorry. He's joking, but it was funny, dude.
No, it's a fair point. Like, I do not play multiplayer for that game, like, at all. But it's like, again, like, multiplayer this generation, we got Titanfall. Titanfall was amazing. I had a 10 million player install base, but again, you had to pay for the maps. The multiplayer died after a year. Then we had Battlefield Hardline, which nobody played because it was terrible.
Hold on, K Mega played it, okay? K Mega, he played that hard, man.
That he did.
Yeah,
he used to post clips all the time, but it's like, but like, I just look at multiplayer this generation. It seemed like more people were passionate for multiplayer last generation, and that includes me. I played 99% of my games single player, but last generation it was a different story. I was on multiplayer almost every night, but now I just don't see that. I don't find anything exciting about multiplayer in most games now. That could change, Battlefield could come back. Call of Duty does have me interested a little bit, but it's like, for me, multiplayer, that's a secondary thing. That's at the back of my mind, thing. But when it comes to this Gears stuff, I'm like, I can get some fresh new Gears stuff without waiting 3 years. So for me, that's exciting because again, I love the Gears campaign. I never understood why people complained about it. I thought it was fun times. I loved the exploration and stuff. I loved that they hid legendary weapons or relics around the map. And for me, it was just a fresh take on Gears.
Oh, dude, I really liked the Gears 5 story. I liked how it was like centered around Kate as well. I know some people were getting a little upset about that, but the emotion, the kind of like emotional roller coaster ride going from the beginning of Gears 5, getting into the end and getting into the middle, and then the ending. Oh my goodness. Like, I really liked that. I had no idea what people were talking about. But then again, different people have different opinions. Me personally, I thought it was one of the best Gear stories that I have played personally. Like, I really got into the story.
No, same here. It's like I like the fact that each game was different. We had Gears 1, which it had horror elements throughout that game. Then we had Gears 2, where it had a lot more set pieces, where you're in the worm, you're on the battleship thing, and then you're in the underground on like a boat. Like it mixed it up a bit. And then we had Gears 3, which was all over the place, action all over the place in a good way. And then we had Judgment, which that was a game.
We had Judgment, which was we don't talk about Judgment. I guess that's what I get from the community. By the way,
yeah, pretty game, not very good one though. And then we had Gears 4, which was it kind of seemed more like the first Gears game, but this new one to me. It was fresh. Like you had this sled thing you could go around on, and I don't know. Like I'll never understand why people bash that game for being an 80-something Metacritic, and other games came out less and got hyped more. To me,
you said the M word. Hold on, meta who? Meta who? I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
The thing is, despite the fact I do not like Metacritic, I'm probably one of the few people in the community that has an official review on Metacritic as a critic. Like, fun fact, I reviewed a game in 2016 called Toby, the Secret Mine, and that was a critic review. I gave it a 7 out of 10, but...
nice, man. I'm dealing with a star right here. Oh, my goodness.
I wish it was for Xbox Mad and the website got pulled so you can only see the first paragraph now.
Oh, wow.
But, hey, time moves on. But look, it's more Gears content for me and for everyone else to play. And, will people have to buy it? More than likely. But I'm all for buying expansions because it supports the game more. Because if I'm playing the game in Game Pass, they've got my money. I know I've seen people split on this all over the place, and it makes sense. But like for me personally, if there's compelling reasons for me to buy an expansion, I'll buy it, regardless if the game's on Game Pass.
Yeah, well, see, and I like that option, and you will always have that option. But I definitely think with what Xbox is doing and how they're trying to promote, Game Pass, I can definitely see like moving into the future, DLC also going into Game Pass. Maybe not day and date. Maybe they'll wait like a little bit, but I would definitely, especially like Game Pass Ultimate, and of course rumors about having like Game Pass Platinum and other tiers and stuff like that. Like I can definitely see at some point where DLC is a part of Game Pass. I think, me personally, I think it makes sense. But Jamie, we're all about the people in the chat, and they're asking questions and stuff like that. And it didn't change color, but there is a good question here, and it's from Stubbs, and he says, hashtag Phoenix Collection. Like, what do we think about that? Now, Jamie, I know you're on Twitter. There are people who are trying to start this petition to make kind of like a remastered Marcus Phoenix collection. Gears 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure about 4. I think it's the original 3, maybe Judgment. But talking about making a Phoenix collection, kind of like what they did with the Master Chief collection. What do you think? Would that be a petition you sign? Would that be a movement that you would be behind? Yes or no, bro?
Yeah, and he's why. Like I'm adamant against remakes of last generation games. Like every time I talk about Mass Effect, I always get one or two people saying remake, and I'm shaking, saying no, damn it, like do not remake one generation old games. To this day, 360 games in 4K look good. All you have to do is play Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. That game has detail you couldn't even see last generation. In this generation, it's brought it to the forefront, and it looks like a current gen game. So to me, I'm like, don't remake this game. But here's the caveat. But when it comes to Gears, I think like Halo, it deserves a coat of paint. Because look, as much as I talk about not liking Gears multiplayer, Gears of War 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I played that game countless times, countless hours, and I love it. But if it had the visual makeover that the first one got with the Ultimate Edition, yeah, I'll be there day one for it because I love Gears. And same with Gears 3. Gears 3 to this day still looks good in 4K, but just the new cutscenes and the newer visuals. Like the funny thing about Gears Ultimate Edition, it's on this kind of fence between a remake and a remaster because they kept the game mechanics, they kept everything about it. They literally just put in new visuals. That wasn't a remaster. They essentially remade the visuals and plonked it on a remaster, which was weird. But to me, it was kind of a nice way to respect that game because Again, the first game aged badly when it comes to visuals. Still a damn good game though. But now it looks all fresh, and it will be 4K 60 apparently on the next generation. But yeah, like I'll be for it.
Nice, and I will be too. Like when it comes down to it, it's one of those Xbox franchises. It's right there. Halo started on the OG Xbox, Gears started on the 360, and I feel to the Xbox gamers, those franchises are really ingrained in their experiences, starting off with Xbox and kind of like moving forward. And those are the two kind of like main franchises besides like Forza but those are the two main franchises. Like when you go out on the street and you say, hey, do you play video games? They're like, yeah. When I say Xbox, what is the first thing you think of? I think half of the people are going to say Halo. Half of the people are going to say Gears. So I am definitely down for them doing something like that. Doing that kind of anniversary style, kind of like Code of Paint, Jamie, that they've done with Halo 1 and 2 so far. I think they need to do it with Halo 3 as well. Halo 3 is one of the Halos that I feel graphically did not age well. It looked really good when it first came out, but it didn't age well in the long run. So, but yeah, I'm definitely down for that. I'm down for them to do something like that. I believe, check this out, Crispy has shared the petition in the chat. So guys, if you want to sign that petition for the Phoenix Collection, it is right there in the chat. Crispy Bomb, our moderator here, has put it in there. So go ahead and do what you got to do with that. If you want to sign it, go ahead and feel free. Jamie, I feel like we're doing something good here with this whole thing. And shout out to Stubbs Gaming, man, because Stubbs, you're the one who brought up the question. And dude, you are running in the chat, man. You are running with the topics. You are interacting with everybody. It is awesome to see you here, brother. On that note, I think I'm gonna get a hug real quick. Hold on. What's up, dude?
I was in your stream for like an hour.
You want to say hi?
Hi.
That is Evan. That is the guy who got me hooked on Rocket League again.
I was in your stream for like an hour.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And he was in the stream for like an hour, guys. But I think it's about time to switch topics here. So let me go in and see exactly what we have here. I think it's a good time to start talking about backwards compatibility. We're talking about the Phoenix Collection, all that good stuff. And I know, with the fact that Microsoft was really put everything into Halo as their first party kind of like, release game for the launch of the Series X and the Series S. I do got to say, I like what they're doing in terms of, they delayed that, which is unfortunate. But what I'm liking is their attention to detail when it comes to back compat. And I'm going to bring what we're showing here back to the beginning, because what I'm showing here in terms of the gameplay is a feature that I think gets looked over a lot. Now, first off, when it comes to backwards compatible games, Xbox has finally come out and stated that when the Series X and Series S launch, basically all the OG Xbox games that were backwards compatible with Xbox One will be there to play. All the 360 games will also be there to play. And then when it comes to the Xbox One games, the only games that they have omitted from backwards compatibility are the ones that have Kinect as the integral part of it. So, me being a Kinect Sports Rivals guy, unfortunately I can't plug the Kinect into the Series X and all that good stuff. So I won't be able to play that game. But every other game that doesn't have to deal with the Kinect will be backwards compatible at launch and look and run better on the new systems. I think that is awesome news. Jamie, what do you think, man? Dude, I think that's awesome with what they're thinking about. I know like their plans for first party didn't work out the way that they wanted it to for the launch of these systems. But this was still being done either way. They were doing this even when they felt like Halo Infinite was going to come out, and as they were marketing, the Medium and other games that are going to be out, this year going into next year when it comes to the Series X and the Series S. What do you think about their hard work, dedication for the games that we already have, not only to run, but to look better and perform better on the newer systems, bro?
Well, I was going to bring this up as a separate topic, but I can actually use it in this topic. So one of the reasons why I talk about Xbox so much and like I prefer Xbox is their legacy. They care about them. They take care of them games. The Mass Effect trilogy, as much as they're getting remasters, they get stability updates still. A lot of 360 games and OG games too. One of the main things I like about Xbox is that they take care of their back catalog, and even with things like ports, still get stability updates from last generation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I look at all the games that's on Xbox right now, and I look at all of my favorite, let's say, top 25 games of all time, I could play almost every single one of them on an Xbox right now. Aside from a few games from other platforms, like 90% of my favorite games of all time, I can play on that console right in front of me.
Dude, hold on one sec. I'm sorry. And Jamie, I am so sorry to interrupt, but yo, Mojo Blues is in the chat. What is up, brother? Everybody in the chat, yo, give a shout out to Mojo. Mojo, it is so good to see you in the chat. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but unfortunately, Mojo had an incident where he was in the hospital. He spent last night in the hospital. Mojo, we did definitely shouted you out and everything like that. He is an awesome part of the community. He is kind of like a newer YouTuber that was coming in with his own kind of like live shows and everything like that. Brother, it is so good to see you in the chat, man. Yo, shout out to you, bro. Dude, your strength and your courage, man, absolutely awesome. It is really good to see you. I'm sorry, dude. I had to, man. I did not expect to see Mojo in the chat tonight, man. Awesome. But go ahead, brother.
No, it's fine. And like Mojo, I hope you're doing better and stuff. Like, he supports a bunch of different shows and different content creators, and just want him to feel better and keep at it. But yeah, about the whole like Xbox stuff, like I can play almost all my favorite games of all time on console, and like people will tag me and say like, why do I like playing old games? It's not about that. I watched Alien last night because I wanted to, and now because I got a port, I can play Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer on an Xbox in 2020 if I want. I can play Final Fantasy X on an Xbox if I want.
Mm-hmm.
And going to the next generation, those games will get stability updates by Microsoft, continuing their legacy for years. And to me, like, that's important. Like, people can say old games as much as they want, but like, look at it like this: like, games like Grand Theft Auto 4 is going to run at 60 frames per second next gen. Some PCs struggle doing that. Today with like high-end graphics cards, and it's like this console's like, not just brute force and like, better performance and better visuals. Microsoft's going to go in and, give some Xbox One games, the due diligence and, up-res them and give them higher frames. But it's like, we're getting the ability to not just go back to our favorite games, but discover games for years to come, because people growing up now didn't grow up with 360 games, didn't grow up with OG games, and they're going to be able to jump into these games fresh at the, at the best possible time next generation. And to me, like, Microsoft, yeah, it's unfortunate that we didn't get Halo Infinite. It's unfortunate that they didn't have a bigger library when it comes to the launch. But it's like, when we started this generation, there was about 22 games in the store. Like, really think about that. You go to the store now, and there's thousands of games spanning 3 generations. But when you started this generation, turned on that Xbox One, day one, there was 22 games in the store. And it looked bad. And the thing is, we knew then, we had no backwards compatibility then. We were starting afresh. But next generation, we're not having to start afresh. Next week, when these consoles come out, or whenever anyone does come out, or whenever you get one down the line, Xbox, like, you're going to be able to fire that up and have hundreds, if not thousands of games in your library, day one, and to choose from. And it's like, that's the beauty of next generation. We're not doing a hard reset. And as well as we're not doing a hard reset, we're getting all the benefits of next generation as well, with higher frame rates. We're getting automatic HDR in games. We're getting high resolutions. It's a good time, you know.
That right there, Jamie. See that right there. I feel when it comes down to it, I feel like people are either downplaying or I feel people should be more excited about things like when it comes to the Series X and the Series S. We all know that there's something called machine learning, which, you know, if you ever watch Terminator, you know that could be a definite bad thing. Okay, let's be real here. You know, machines are learning as they go, but we're just taking it for the just this recent future. And with machine learning, and that's what this is trying to show. You know, this is what this gameplay is trying to show here. You know, I snagged it, but it's trying to show auto HDR. You know, with the machine learning, it learned a certain HDR algorithm from Gears, I believe. Am I right, Jamie? It was from Gears.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then with that, they are using that to put in HDR, high dynamic range color, which I feel is even more impressive. It's more immersive than kind of like your native resolution that a lot of people like to talk about. But they have found a way to machine learn and implement high dynamic range color into OG Xbox games, into 360 games, into games that never had a single shred of code for high dynamic range at all. And that right there, to me, is absolutely incredible that they were able to do that. And I think it's something that, you know, for some rhyme or reason, people out there, they kind of downplay it, you know, and I don't know why, because you would never, Jamie, this is one thing I said about like the beginning of generations. There's always something there that we didn't think of that they put in as an option or a feature. It's either one company does it or the other. And I remember the beginning of the generation we're in now. It was the DVR capability and the ability to kind of like, you know, grab gameplay and put a voiceover for it and then put it on like YouTube or something like that. It's something I never would have thought could happen in a console, and we got that in 2013. And now when we're looking at what Xbox is doing with, you know, bring your library with you, you know, there's games that we know that you love to play. They're going to work better. They're going to perform better. They're going to look better, you know, on the new systems. Take your library with you. And then to have something where the machine literally puts in such a newer feature as high dynamic range into games. Like, I feel like people downplay that. That is such an incredible feature to me, bro.
I mean, the people that downplay it either don't understand it because the brains are too small, or they don't have access to it. That's what it boils down to. But when it comes to this machine learning stuff, it's like, yeah, we're getting the HDR stuff, and the HDR stuff's impressive. Like, as soon as the Xbox Series X gets here, I'll be firing up Dead Space to see what that looks like in HDR. Like, that game's going to look incredible. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of other games are going to benefit from this. But, like, I look at the machine learning thing and look at it long term. Like, not just the HDR stuff. Like, and I watch a bunch of tech different things on YouTube. And one of the things machine learning's been able to do is that. So, the original Final Fantasy 7 has pre-rendered backgrounds. And those are around, I think it's like 240p. They're very blurry images with not much detail. So with them being pre-rendered, there's nothing people can do about it. But with machine learning on PC, people have figured out ways that they can actually use machine learning to increase detail to get these 240p images up to 1080p with increased detail that was never there before.
That's like, dude, like, how come more people aren't talking? Like, that is insane, man. I understand Halo Infinite got delayed. Trust me, I understand that. I am a big Halo fan. But that doesn't take away from some of these things that, like, I just didn't think were possible. And Xbox is like, yeah, no, we got that. No problem. You know what I'm saying? No problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's a feature that I think way too many people are sleeping on. You know, I've kind of mentioned this in the past, but it's like it's something that people just aren't used to. Like, literally, think about it like this: the image that these Final Fantasy 7, like when they upgraded, like literally 240p, no detail, all the way up to 1080p with lots of detail, and they're working on trying to get them up to 4K. And that's all machine learning. And you might be thinking, well, how can that benefit us? If they can use machine learning on 360 and OG games to put HDR in, think about it like this: what if they can use machine learning a year from now, 2 years from now, or who knows, maybe 6 months from now? What if they can use machine learning to input detail into already existing games, such as a Dead Space, such as a Force Unleashed kind of thing? Because it's possible.
Well, that's definitely something else with machine learning. And shout out to Z Black Rider in there, because he said he also said this in the chat. First off, it's good to see you, brother. You have been with me for so long on this channel, man. Absolutely love seeing you in the chat. He says machine learning will take time to be utilized, and the thing is, that is true, because you're basically, the machine is learning how to do new things. So what we're seeing the systems do now with like the auto HDR and what you're talking about with taking the image and trying to boost the resolution and all that good stuff, what we're seeing now, if you look like 2 years from now, like, it's going to learn to do different things. And I think that's one of the most exciting parts about like these new consoles. Like, they're going to be able to do, just like what you said about adding detail. If they learn how to do it, they find like a code or an algorithm in a game that they can mimic into other games. Even like, advanced shadowing, like you were talking about when it came to like Gears and kind of like the upgrades going there. If they can implement like advanced shadowing when it comes to certain things on the ground, and then having shadows lay over shadows and stuff like that, like, it's just going to add to the games as they keep going forward. I think this is something that I don't know why, like, even the gaming news isn't really getting all in on this, which if you're kind of like a tech nerd, which a lot of people are, and guess what, guys, it's cool to be nerds now. All right, just to let you know, it's cool to be nerds. When I was growing up, when I was in school, it wasn't necessarily cool to be a nerd, but it's cool to be a nerd now. So, but if you're a tech nerd, these are features that you'd kind of be like, your eyes kind of get wide, like, yo, I can't believe they're doing something like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, think about it like this. Machine learning isn't exactly the sexiest of terms, is it? When it comes to like marketing and tech speak, like I will never title a video "Direct Machine Learning on Xbox does blah 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 blah" because it's not marketable. You can't really do that. It's one of the most interesting things next generation. It's just hard to talk about in such a alluring way that will just grab people's attention. But I'll give people another example, and so the Mass Effect trilogy. It's getting remastered. We're going to hear about it next week. And the thing is, that first game, I'll admit more than anyone that those textures are terrible. Mass Effect has horrendous textures. They had low resolution textures to save on memory, and I understand.
Well, yeah,
but,
I mean, look how big the game was and all the choices and stuff that you had to make. A lot of the code went to the gameplay more than anything, bro.
Yeah, so outside of the remaster, let's pretend that wasn't getting remastered, just for a moment. With machine learning, they could take those, terrible textures on walls, on the sides of starships, on the armor. They could use machine learning in the future to increase the detail of the textures on the walls, pretty much everywhere, because that's what that can do. And that's one of the most interesting things next generation. And the thing is, Microsoft's barely talked about it. They mentioned it a few times on a podcast about machine learning. It's not this big talking point because it's hard to talk about, Well,
it's yeah, like, and you don't necessarily know what the machine's gonna kind of like catch on to and kind of like learn from moving into the future as well. Like, you can kind of guesstimate and stuff like that. And I think that's something with ML that they can't really say, well, in 2 years time it's going to learn how to do this or something like that. I think as it goes, I think and I think it's exciting to like the developers and stuff out there that this type of technology is in these consoles, because once it does figure out something like the whole Gears HDR thing, then it just it makes it that much easier either to port games to the Series X that or maybe adjust an older game that you want to kind of you want to put extra polish on, but you don't have to worry about coding in the HDR because the game's going to automatically do it. I just think that you know, it's got to learn things, and it learns through experience and playing different games. If artificial intelligence, which that's pretty much what it is, it's a type of artificial intelligence. If I'm reading it right, and I think that's what's going on now. Shout out to Shizno Elite. He said, "Isn't machine learning Series X and Series S version of DLSS?" And no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but DLSS is where, you know, when you're looking at something in a game up front, then you have the kind of like the best best resolution textures and stuff like that. If you're not necessarily looking at something, they don't use the best textures, and the best textures and the best look for whatever you're turning to look at. It goes in as you're like moving and walking around, or as you're getting closer to something that's in the distance. Am I correct on that? That's
Yes and no. Machine learning does play a part in DLSS because
but it's not,
again,
it's not the name for it though. Like
yeah,
okay.
it's not the name for it. But like again, we can use that talk about DLSS. Like that's an NVIDIA thing, but AMD does have their own thing with, you know, Xbox, and you know, down the line we'll see things like that. So again, file sizes this generation are getting a bit big. You know, you have Call of Duty taking up 10 billion terabytes, and you know, the thing is about these like games, you won't have to have super large textures because you're gonna be able to have this like extreme super sampling, being able to bring up the images up to like 4K from 1080p. Nerd talk, I know, but you're gonna have to have
Nerd talk. I'm all about it, bro.
We're gonna have basically 1080p games brought up to 4K without having to have huge file sizes, and that's one of the smaller things which we will hear about over the next few months.
All right, I got you, man. And yo, shout out to Shizno. I'm digging questions, guys. And as usual with any of the podcasts out there, if you have a question or a statement that you absolutely want to be read and to be answered, you can always, if you have a couple bucks, you can always hit up that super chat. It is not required, but I am just letting you know if there's something that you absolutely want us to say, because it's really hard going in and, you know, finding the questions and stuff like that. If there's something we have to say, that is an option. Otherwise, you know, shout out to everybody hanging out with us right now, dude. I really do appreciate this. This is really awesome. I think it's about time to move on to another subject real quick. And again, yo, shout out to Xbox and what they're doing with machine learning. Things I never thought would be possible, like the auto HDR. Fusion Frenzy has high dynamic range color in it. Come on, that is insane. And that was one of my favorite party games on the OG Xbox. So, yo, shout out to them for what they're doing with that. Now, I'm going to switch over here. You know what? Let's talk about the Series S, okay? I feel like the Series S doesn't get a lot of shine right now, and I kind of don't understand why. Now, it's been noted, and we talked about this on next podcast. So, Stubbs, yes, we do next podcast. It is on every Thursday at 7 p.m. So you have me and Jamie here Sundays 6 p.m., and you have the next podcast every Thursday at 7 p.m. But we touched on this, and it's something I wanted to talk to you about, Jamie, because people are pointing to, like, Yakuza running at 900p on the Series S. I believe there was an issue in terms of Devil May Cry 5, kind of like the remaster that they're coming out with, in terms of the resolution on the Series S when it comes to that being below 1080p. And, you know, shout out to Review Tech USA. I watch his videos. I listen to what he has to say. There are times I agree with him, and there's times I don't agree with him. But I think everybody that's in the chat right now, you guys feel the same way about me and my channel. There's times you agree with me. There's times you don't agree with me. It's part of the fun of being on and interacting between people, you know, on YouTube. But he seemed to be a little upset about the sub 1080p kind of like resolutions for certain games when it comes to the Series S, to the point where he was asking is this really a next-gen console? Now, Jamie, I'm going to give my thoughts on this, and then I'm going to swing the mic right over to you, and you can run with it, man. Hit a home run, do whatever you got to do. This is what I think when it comes to the Series S. First off, entry level into the next gen. The least expensive next gen console out there. That right there, $300, and you get this system, which, it's not going to be a 4K system, but it's going to upscale to 4K. And we've already seen, how the upscale has been working, in this generation when it came to certain systems and stuff like that. So I'm like, $300. I think they're aiming this towards a consumer or a demographic that's not really going to care if it's native 4K, if it's 1440p. I think they're aiming towards consumers that are not pixel counters when it comes to this thing. Not only that, in terms of it being next gen, the CPU, the GPU, even though the GPU is less powerful than the Series X, it is still new components. It's still using the velocity architecture. You're still getting the reduction in load times. You're still getting next-gen features like quick resume. You're still getting, the machine learning with the auto HDR. You're still getting next-gen features. And the weird thing to me is, at first, people were saying that, it doesn't matter about resolution anymore. When we're talking about the Series X and they're like, 4K 60 and all that good stuff, people are like, well, it's not about resolution anymore, right? And then this information comes out about the Series S and some of the games running sub 1080p, and now people are upset about resolution. I will let you guys know my own personal thoughts. This is a next-gen console. It is an entry-level next-gen console for people who don't necessarily care about how many Ps the system is pushing out. They're still getting the quick resume. They're still getting the reduction in load times. You're still getting the machine learning. You're still getting the features of the next-gen console, just without the higher resolution. To me, that is still a next-gen console. But Jamie, I'm going to swing it over to you, man. You heard my thoughts on this. I'm interested to hear, do you think the Series S is, in fact, a next-gen console? And how do you feel about certain games going below the native 1080p mark when it comes to resolution, man?
It's all a bunch of whining, isn't it? I mean, look, it can play games up to 120 frames per second, yet people are questioning if it's next gen. Nah, it's literally whining for the case of whining, and here's why: there is no discernible difference between 900p and 1080p. There isn't. I don't care what people say. There's just no difference. Like, I've played 900p games on a 4K TV and 1080p games. Do you know what's different? Absolutely nothing. People are just whining for the sake of whining. Like, think about it. This game can have, this console could play games with RayTracing, and yet people are trying to find something to whine about. But of course, it's the internet. It's 2020. People need something to whine about, because think about it. What is there to complain about with the Xbox? Nothing.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, think about the people are reaching beyond everything they can possibly do to try and find something to whine about, because there's nothing to whine about anymore. They fixed the studios, situation. They fixed, the power situation, because power was the biggest talking point for 3 years. So they got power in studios. What else? Games. Well, we know there's many games in the pipeline. People wanted Microsoft to take time with games. They delayed Halo. People whined about it. No matter what happens, people will whine. That's just a fact. And it's unfortunate that we've gotten to this point. But if people are having a question if a 120 frames per second ray tracing capable console is not next gen, then they have to have the head examined.
Dude, Jamie, I gotta just butt in real quick and talk about this, because like I said, unfortunately, economically, I couldn't pre-order a Series X or anything like that. And I even had one subscriber, and I'm not going to mention any names, but they offered to pay half. They offered to pay half, and I couldn't do it, man. I was like, that was so nice of them to offer to pay half for the Series X, and I'm like, dude, I got to do it on my own. I will let you know, Jamie, I am seriously considering, when it comes to my first console for the next gen, I'm seriously considering the Series S, bro. I really am.
I'll put it like this: like, out of all my friends in real life, like, I only know 2 people upgrading next gen, like, day one. One's buying a PlayStation, one's buying an Xbox, and it's fine. It's fine. Not console war, it's just people,
okay,
what they buy.
Okay,
but
omit
but
that from your mind, guys.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, my friend that's buying an Xbox, right? He is buying the Series X because he got the One X. He used to be a PC gamer, and then the One X kind of took him away from that. He sold his PC because he just liked the ease of use. And I was playing the Call of Duty beta with him, and I was questioning. I was like, which one did you pre-order, the X or the S? And he laughed because he said, well, Jamie, what do we talk about half the time? 4K games. Like, as soon as I start playing 4K games, I love them. Like, I love the crispness of them, and I don't care if people say you can't see the difference. There's a difference that I can see, but that's me, and that's my friend. There's people of either side of the fence that can, they love resolution, they don't care, and that's just how it is. The Xbox Series S is a bloody fantastic console for its price, and if you don't care about 4K, then you don't have to get a Series X. That's it. And the thing is, that's why that console exists. They wouldn't have built a smaller console, with a, less powerful GPU if they knew that. There's still millions of people using 1080p TVs. Hell, broadcast television in the UK is still barely 1080p. There's like 4K channels. But my point is that, like, it's an option. And the thing is, I know why people are complaining. It's for 2 reasons. It's they wanting to find something to whine about, and it's a new thing for a console. We haven't had multiple tiers for consoles before. Never have.
Well, we have, but they were pretty much the same on the inside, and it had to do with kind of like, storage and stuff like that. Because we had the arcade Xbox 360, and then we had the one with the more substantial hard drive attached to it. I forgot what they call it. I don't think it was Elite. I think Elite came a little bit further, but it was something like that. Now, first off, I want to give a shout out to Pandemic. Yo, Pandemic Patty. Good to see you. First time listener, said that they're loving the show. Shout out to Supersonic Station. He says in the chat that his Series X is on its way, but don't tell anyone that he bought one. So, me, Jamie, and the 123 other people that are checking out your chat right now, it's safe with us, Supersonic, just to let you know. But yeah, dude, when it comes down to it, and Chris asked, he was like, so the Series S is next gen, even though 1080p resolution. And again, Chris, I thought when it came to resolution, that whole thing was over with. Now, again, I will tell you that I think the Series S is next gen because it has the better CPU cores, all that good stuff, and it has the next gen features. It has the lower, significantly lower load times. It has the quick resume. It has the machine learning. It has the auto HDR. It has the velocity architecture that deals with the load times and stuff like that. So yes, the Series S is a next-gen console. If it wasn't, it wouldn't have next-gen features. These, like, Jamie, I'm making sense here, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the whole graphics card situation, right? The release of a weaker one, relatively. I'm using air quotes here. There's a weaker one, there's a mid-tier one, and there's the high-end one. Well, Microsoft's doing 2 different consoles, the higher end and the lower end. And the thing is, the lower end console is so cheap that it's such a interesting proposition because for people that don't want to upgrade yet, will look at this thinking, well, at that price, I could. Again, not everyone cares about 4K. While I might like the crispness of 4K, like, the whole prospect of getting a console for £249 or $299, like that is mind blowing. And I have no problem with that. Like I just don't understand. Like I get it. We have to only bash resolution when it's on Xbox's side. I get that, but come on, like again, 120 frames per second. Like it's a next gen console. It's just like people with 1080p TVs aren't gonna give a crap. People with 4K TVs that don't care about resolution aren't gonna give a crap.
Yeah.
And to this day, as much as I do like 4K stuff, most of the games I play aren't even 4K. So at the end of the day, it's just if people want a Series S or X, they're gonna choose it. If people want to buy the 4K console, they will. But it's just I'm going to use a very extremely, British but old timey swear word. It's poppycock.
Poppycock.
Like it's just ridiculous, and it's a shame because I've seen people get put down for getting a Series S already, and it's like, but we were told for the past 2 years that resolution didn't matter. So it's like, will people make up their minds, or will they get the head out of the arse and just be real?
Damn.
It's just like, and I've seen big YouTubers mention this. Is it a next generation console? If you have to ask the question, then you shouldn't be covering tech.
Yeah, and yeah, that's another thing. But when it comes down to it, the people who know. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get different reasons as to why different YouTubers are saying different things, and I'm not trying to throw people under the bus here or anything like that. I'm not that type of person, man. I've gone through a whole spiritual journey the last few weeks, and I'm really doing my best to emulate my beliefs and my actions. So I'm not gonna like throw anybody under the bus. I am not that type of person. But people have different reasonings, different reasonings to do and say what they say out there, to the community. One thing I will say, I will do my best. I will always give my honest opinion. I will let people know about things I don't necessarily know about, things that I think I know about but need to do more research on, and then things I feel like I have a good grasp on, okay? And when it comes to this question seems really seems like a no-brainer to me because of the stuff that I said, because of the features that come along with this system. And yes, it's not going to have the highest resolution, but it's going to have everything else. And when it comes to that, no, it's not going to have a hard drive. I forgot who said that in the chat. It will have the SSD at the center of it as well. So it's going to have the solid state drive for the Series S as well. And that right there, it is a next gen console. So Jamie, unless you have anything else to say on this, we can definitely move on to the next subject. So is there any closing statements on this before we move on?
Yeah, people need to stop doing the concern trolling, especially in 2020 when it comes to resolution, because at the end of the day, most of the games we've got this generation aren't 1080p, aren't 4K. Like, it's just people have to move on with it. Like, again, like I was playing Rage the other day. That is 1080p, 60 frames per second. To me, that looked like I had Vaseline over my eyes. But to other people, it doesn't. And that's just how it is. It's all about preference.
That's such a bad picture, Jamie. That is such a horrible picture. Vaseline over your eyes, man. And I'm probably not going to be able to sleep tonight. So I appreciate that, Jamie.
Think of it as extreme conjunctivitis.
Oh my goodness. And we are definitely moving on to the next subject. Yeah. Guys, it seems that we got our first look at ray tracing on the Series X. Now, I am putting some footage up about this. Now, the very first clip, and there's going to be multiple clips. The very first clip is talking about Watch Dogs Legion with ray tracing on the Series X, captured on the Series X, and then it goes on into NVIDIA and what they're doing with ray tracing. But I wanted to give you guys an idea. You'll see it says right in the whole Series X thing, you'll see it says captured on Xbox Series X. That is the ray tracing for this game. Yo, Griffin is absolutely incredible. Guys, I've wanted Griffin to do a video about next podcast. I've watched a bunch of his videos the last few weeks, and I think at one point in time he was following me on Twitter when he was on Twitter. I really missed out because I think he is incredibly funny, and I feel bad for anybody who takes his videos seriously. All right, but yeah, shout out to Griffin Gaming. I definitely watched a lot of his videos, but what we're seeing right here, captured on Xbox Series X, right? And you're gonna see NVIDIA with their ray tracing, and I believe you're also gonna see AMD with their ray tracing for Watch Dogs Legion. I just wanted to give you guys kind of like the different kind of like looks when it came to ray tracing for this game. One thing I will say, when you look at this game, when it comes to ray tracing, they are using the DirectX ray tracing, all right, which is, this is pretty much, we're getting our first looks at what the system can do, and then what the API can do in putting ray tracing into a game like Watch Dogs Legion. I gotta say, me personally, I think it looks really good. I've been one of those people that said ray tracing is an absolute game changer for this generation. And what I think it does, it just makes the entire scene, the entire game, when you have ray tracing, it makes it look more realistic. It makes it look more lived in. It makes the way the light bounces off of different things and different amounts of reflection when it comes from marble to glass to metal. I think it really gives it a grounded look that you feel is more of has more of a resemblance to real life, because I know, looking at other games with just screen space reflections, there were certain things where, yeah, it looked really real, but then there were certain things where, as Digital Foundry would say, like the puddles would glow in an awkward light, and there was things that kind of pulled you back out of the game in terms of, well, it looks good, but it doesn't really look real. So, Jamie, you can see what's going on right here. Again, I put in, clips from, the Series X was the very first one that we were seeing, and then it goes into NVIDIA, then it goes into AMD. What do you think so far? Are you impressed with the ray tracing that we've seen with Watch Dogs Legion? And what do you think, because I'm pretty sure you saw the NVIDIA and how NVIDIA kind of implements ray tracing. It has been shown that AMD with DirectX ray tracing does it in a different way. So what do you think, man? Are you impressed? Do you like one over the other? Are they getting kind of like the same kind of... Is it kind of like the same, kind of like response? What do you think, bro?
I'm beyond impressed. Like,
Nice.
when it comes to this next generation, the thing I've been wanting most was ray tracing. And, if I can find a tweet, I'll post it, because even I laugh. Like, I didn't think 2 years ago that these consoles would have ray tracing at all. Just because I watched NVIDIA's events.
I said it, though. I said it, bro. But
I watched the NVIDIA event 2 years ago, and they had this PC that was able to ray trace in real time, and it was about the size of a small car. And I just thought, okay, maybe the mid console refresh. But as time went on, I was thinking it is more likely. And then for the past year and a half, they've been talking about ray tracing. Now we've seen it in a huge open world game filled with lots of glass and shiny floors and puddles and stuff. And it's like, this is exactly what I wanted. And if for people that don't know me, like, I cringe. I'm from the northeast of England. We cringe at everything. Like, if something's off, I'll cringe. And if I'm playing a game and I see a screen space reflection, and sometimes if you play an open world game with a city, pay attention to the buildings around you and look at the reflections. Sometimes you see reflections of things that aren't even there. Mm-hmm. You can have complete streets rendered in the reflection in a building that don't even exist. And that's
Or a big thing, and this is something in my golf game, because it doesn't have ray tracing. It's on the 1X. Like, when we're by the water, your actual character model breaks up the reflection Like if you're looking at the water past the character model, it's one of the things that used to irk me about screen space, reflections, is like your character model will break up. You'll see like the reflection go away around your character model, or your character model will be in the reflection same size, even though it's closer to the screen, same size in the water. Like those are two things that kind of like, I was like, oh man, what? Nah, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, screen space reflections, while cool and they can be useful, it's not the same as ray tracing. It's like when I drink cider, do I want Strongbow or do I want the off license stuff that, has a similar label? I want the Strongbow. I want the nice, tasty goldness of that, cider. I don't want the knockoff. So when it comes to, ray tracing, I want the whole thing. I'm going to be greedy. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. But with screen space reflections, it's like, it kind of takes you out of the game when, you're looking at a reflection. It's like, oh, yeah, that building and that reflection, it doesn't exist. But with, ray tracing, it just makes environments look more lively. And the whole Watch Dogs gameplay, like, it was just incredible. Durham filled with all, I was not Durham, London filled with like all these lights and stuff with the puddles, and just like when traffic goes by, you see the reflection of the cars and the buses in the puddles themselves. And it just makes areas more immersive to me. But it's like if anyone's ever played Mafia 3, the screen space reflections in that game are terrible, absolutely terrible. Like literally entire streets, vehicles, and that are just completely rendered differently in the reflection. It's horrible. I could talk about that all day, but it's like with ray tracing, we getting something more next gen, because I've seen a lot of people ask the question, what does it mean to be next gen? And, it's kind of a weird question, because we're getting to a point now where graphics are so good that the only thing we can, improve on is, better detail, higher frames, and ray tracing. When I play a next generation game, it's what we see with our eyes that make us go, oh, that's next gen. And ray tracing's next gen. It's not, some gimmick. It is what we see with our eyeballs. And ray tracing is that. And for an open world game like this, like, it's just exciting, because again, next year we're going to be getting things like The Witcher 3 is going to get ray tracing. Really think about that. And all these other games are going to get ray tracing. It's like, it's exciting because this early on we've seen it in action in a big open world game, and it's just going to continue to get better, and we're going to see more games utilize this. And when people say what is next generation stuff, point to Watch Dogs, because we've never seen lighting like this in a console game. And if you've seen the recommended specs for Watch Dogs Legion on PC, it recommends like a 3080. It's like, no, I'm not buying that. Like, I'll buy my fridge looking console and I'll enjoy it, because again, that $500 box and that $299 box.
Yeah, and what you're getting in those boxes is absolutely insane to a gamer. Now, Jamie, one thing I want to say, because we try to be, we throw out the facts there, when it comes to Xbox on this show. I will say that just because we're talking about ray tracing in Watch Dogs Legion does not mean that they're not using screen space reflection as well. When you look at things in the distance, like across the waterway from a distance, they are using screen space reflections for the reflections in the water at night, stuff like that. When it comes to a certain distance, screen space reflection takes over on the ray tracing. But when it comes to puddles as you're driving by, when it comes to reflections off the cars, when it comes to reflections on building windows and stuff like that, that's where you're going to get the full ray trace capabilities and the full implementation of ray tracing. But by us talking about ray tracing does not mean that they're not using some type of screen space reflection to kind of buffer out going into the distance, or the ray tracing has a certain kind of like perimeter around your character and stuff like that. So the further you get away from your character, eventually it goes into screen space, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And if you watch any of these videos, you see how they blend in screen space reflections in with the ray tracing. The ray tracing adds the detail on top of the screen space when it comes to certain reflections and stuff like that. I think that personally, I think they did a really good job with this, and this is just the beginning. And this is something I was actually talking about on next podcast. These are early implementations of ray tracing on console games. So as the developers get used to working with the hardware, get used to developing with the newer APIs, which I feel Xbox actually has a definitive kind of like advantage when it comes to the API, because this is the same API that a lot of developers are going to be using for games on PC as well. The Ultimate, DirectX Ultimate, a lot of developers are using that to develop games on PC as well. So a lot of developers are going to get used to the DirectX ray tracing as well. So I feel like over time, it's going to get even better. They're going to know where they can make their cuts in a game in terms of coding, and where they're going to be able to add into and flesh out these features like ray tracing to go even further into the game, man. What do you think about that, Jamie? I'm like, this is the first kind of like iterations of ray tracing on console. So I have a feeling as they work with these systems, as they work with the APIs, and they learn little, as Don would call them, tricks of the trade, that they're going to be able to flesh these out even more, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, newer games coming out at that point in time. And it's just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, I mean, look at Watch Dogs. That's that's an early result of ray tracing, and you just have to think like, how good is this stuff going to look in a few years? Are we going to see things like ray tracing in Avowed or Fable or whatever the initiative's working on, or Hellblade 2? It's like, it's a good sign to see something like Watch Dogs, because look, as much as I love Ubisoft games and I play Ubisoft games all the time, they aren't exactly the most optimized games in the industry. They do sometimes have bugs. They kind of perform a bit weird.
Sometimes have bugs. Dude, you are being nice now. You know that, right?
Yeah, I tend to be nice towards Ubisoft because they make a bunch of crap I like.
Okay.
I know that's me being biased, but like at the end of the day, like if we're seeing ray tracing like this early on a Ubisoft game, I think it's a good sign for the future.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Okay, I got you, bro. I got you. I was definitely very impressed, and I was impressed all the way around. I was impressed on, NVIDIA's presentation, AMD's presentation, but I know, everybody in this chat, anybody who watches this show, we were really looking at the Xbox implementation, and I think what they did with the Series X, it looks really good. Again, on this show, we don't really talk about other platforms, or else I would say things about ray tracing on other venues as well. But we're not really doing that. And Jamie, I think it's about time to move on to Halo. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, it's about time.
All right. So shout out to Clobro out on Twitter. He is known as a quote unquote insider. As we know, the project lead for Halo Infinite has stepped down. Chris Lee has stepped down, and he is still within 343, possibly working on other projects. The rumor I've been hearing, because the way I think Halo Infinite is going is when Halo Infinite drops, you're going to have the main story, and of course Atriox is going to be in the story, but the main story is going to be Chief kind of going up against that general that we saw at the end of the gameplay reveal, and that's kind of going to be the main story. And then afterwards, they're going to keep adding on story content for you to play, like a natural evolution after whatever you do with that general is done. Like the next issue that's popping up for Master Chief and humanity within this whole thing. And I think they're going to have kind of like a continuous kind of like story going, instead of selling a sequel like Halo Infinite 2, Halo Infinite 3. I think what they're going to do is they're going to keep adding on to Halo Infinite as they get like those I guess you could say like chapters to the stories like done. That's the way I think they're doing it. And I think Chris Lee might be working on the next chapter right now. That is the rumor I'm hearing. So, yes, guys, I'm saying it's a rumor. All right? So don't take it as like I just wrote another chapter in the New Testament or anything like that. This is a rumor. But, so we have, Staten basically taking over as kind of like the lead to get this game out. Now, according to Clobro, the story is done. So basically what Staten and the rest of the team are doing now is they're going in and they are, going in hard on the graphics part of it. They're going in hard on improving textures and doing all the things that, a lot of people complained about when they saw the gameplay. So this is according to Clobro. Jamie, I gotta ask if you are believing this man right now, and I gotta ask, like, what do you think about kind of like Chris Lee stepping down as the project lead, and Staten along with another person? I think his name is like Hints or Kintz or something like that. I forgot his name, but taking over at that spot. And according to Clobro, they're taking over that spot to go in with the graphics and enhance everything graphically and kind of get this game to the point where it's going to ship. Like, do you believe Clobro on this? And what do you think about Chris Lee's departure as the project lead, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I thought when Jason Staten stepped in, Joseph Staten. I was going to say Jason Statham there.
Jason Statham, he'll be the lead, man.
Yeah, when Joseph Staten stepped in, I just assumed Chris Lee would step down. Like I assumed this like a month or so ago. So it's like, to me, I'm like, why is everyone acting out like this is like the worst thing in existence? Because like, I talk about online all the time and on this podcast that I'm sick of people complaining about everything, right? And it's like, they delayed Halo because people were complaining about the visuals. And what was the only thing they were complaining about with Halo Infinite? It was the visuals. So they delayed it. And now the people seem surprised that stuff had changed after Joseph Staten stepped in. I really don't understand how it's news. And like, I just don't get it. Like, think about it.
I like Chris Lee, though. If you ever watched any interviews with this guy, he is an awesome dude, man. You know what I'm saying? I like him as a person. I don't know how he is as a leader because he took over, I think it was last year. I forgot who left last year, but they left as the project lead last year, and then he stepped in, and now he's stepping down. And Staten and this other person, like I said, I apologize, guys. I did have the name earlier today, and it's just completely kind of like brain farted out of me. But I liked Chris Lee. I thought he was a cool guy, man.
I mean, I had no problem against him, but it's like, back into my point, it's like no matter what, people have to complain about something regarding Halo. Everything. And the thing is, I posted a tweet last night saying, oh, I don't think it's a year out. That's all I said. And apparently the campaign's, like, the story's done. And it's like, really think about it. And I'm having to say it, which annoys me. The game was meant to come out in 7 days. And people think that the game's a year out. That is just mind-blowing to me. I don't think that people... It's Halo, so people rethink the worst. People think they're going to redo the entire story because of someone else changing, like, the stuff. Like, no, stop it. Stop it. It's like, why do people think that? People automatically think the worst. Why? Because it's Halo, and we have to complain. We have to whine about something. And the thing is, people complain about the textures and stuff in that game. Rightly said, but the game looked good. We went from realistic looking Halo 5 to more cartoonified, Halo 3 look. People can't make up their mind. Do we want realistic looking graphics, or do we want less realistic looking graphics, more in line with Halo 3? We can't have it both ways. So pick one. Like, people have to pick one. We can't just argue back and forth online all the time about which Halo is the best, which Halo, is superior. Because again, 343's been in charge of Halo almost as long as Bungie. And again, who did the more realistic looking graphics for Halo? 343. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Bungie. and we all back at square one again. Halo's who knows how many months out? Could be 6, could be 3. Who knows? I mean, they had marketing with Monster energy drinks and Doritos ready to go, and all that's not happening. So the
Yeah,
game was
that
clearly
marketing was kind of left there. Like there's still kind of marketing, but like yeah, that got held in limbo real quick, man.
like Master Chief. The dude is on the back of the Xbox Series X box,
Hmm.
so it's clear that something was meant to happen with the launch. But it's just like I think people just have to step back, because whenever I talk about Halo Online, even if it's a positive post, which it usually is, I get the same thing. I get the same posts, and people can read my last tweet about Halo Infinite. It's like people like, I'm worried about the game. I'm extremely worried about the game. What about the game's textures? I want them to finish the game's textures. Compare Halo Infinite to every other Halo game that launched in the past. It looked better. It just wasn't realistic looking compared to Halo 5. The art
Halo
style is
4 and
different.
Halo 5. Like Halo 4 to me, that they got Halo 4 running on a 360 blew my mind. Like it clearly, in at least in my opinion, that was the best looking 360 game I played that entire generation. I could not believe that they got that game to look like that on the 360. And when it came to Halo 5, again, I feel like Halo 5 as of now, it didn't really age well. There's certain things done in development that unfortunately didn't really age well. But when that game first dropped, man, that was a jaw dropper for me. Like seeing the lighting and everything that was going on in that game looked absolutely incredible when that game launched.
I mean, think about it like this. When Halo 4 first debuted and we saw not the CGI trailer, but the actual in-game, trailer, like for the first time we weren't having these painted backgrounds off in the distance. We were actually having like full skyboxes rendered in real time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like Halo started being more realistic. And people are just like, I don't like the art style anymore. It's like, even his armor, right? People can argue with me if they want, but I like practicality, right? Master Chief's armor, for instance, in Halo 4, he has no armor on his main finger, but it's because he can use, a trigger. That's how it would work in, real
In
life.
real life, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like people wanted this blocky look where it was less tactical, and it's like, well, congratulations, you
You
got
got
what you
it.
wanted, and now you're complaining about
And now you're
detail.
complaining about it anyway.
It's like so you want super realistic detail on Lego looking armor.
Yeah, no, and dude, and this is something again. I feel like I'm more in tune to because I've been a part of the Halo community. Like I'm known out there as somebody who played Halo incredibly, hours and hours and hours. And one thing I will say about the community, and again, I was concerned when they brought in Staten. I really was, because I feel like the Halo community, first off, um, the complaining. All right, when it comes to the Halo community is never completely unified and happy. And when it comes down to it, the biggest division between the Halo community is the old school Halo community and the newer Halo community. And the old school Halo community, they complained about things with Halo 4 and Halo 5, like the Forerunner structures were too detailed and too busy. They said that the armor was too detailed and too busy. It needs to be more simplified. They did not like the sprinting. They did not like the clambering. They did not like the evolution of speed when it came to like Halo 5's multiplayer. And the old school community, for the most part, and I know there's people in the old school community that are more balanced, but for the most part, were screaming they wanted Halo 3 over and over and over again. And that's what they wanted, and unless they got that, they were going to complain about it. And my biggest concern was that 343 would actually listen to that vocal minority, because we all know the vocal minority screams the loudest. And if you look at the gameplay we saw, the simplified Covenant armor and stuff like that really goes back. It really makes you feel like Halo 1. And to me, those were big signs showing that, I'm glad that they kept Clamber. I believe that they kept the dash as well. Maybe not. No, they took away the dash, but they got the grappling hook instead. But I'm glad that they still kept elements of Halo 4 and Halo 5 in terms of movement and speed. But a lot of the aesthetics went back into like the original Halo. And again, I feel like you're 100% right, Jamie. Like, people were complaining that they wanted that look in that game. And then when they got that look in that game, they complained that it didn't look next gen. So when it comes down to it, 343 is never going to satisfy the entire Halo community. And I just hope that they go forward with kind of like their thoughts and their ideas when it comes to the Halo franchise. Because if you look at Halo 4, I think it had one of the best stories, one of the best campaigns I ever played in Halo. And that's saying something, because Halo 2 was absolutely amazing when it came to the story. When it came to the multiplayer, I think Halo 5, in my opinion, with the speed, with the balancing of the maps as well, in accordance with the abilities and stuff like that, I really feel like Halo 5's multiplayer was my favorite out of the franchise. Now, in terms of my favorite all around Halo, with the multiplayer and the story kind of put together, it's Halo 2. Halo 2 is my favorite when it came to the multiplayer and the story put together. But there were signs with Halo 4 in terms of story and Halo 5 in terms of multiplayer that 343 could put all that together and make a truly exceptional Halo game. And I'm a little kind of like, I don't know how to say it emotionally. Like, I'm a little disappointed that they might have went back and listened too much to that vocal minority, Jamie. What do you think about that, bro?
I mean, look, when it comes to these games, I think people have to expect them to evolve over time. Because what would be the point of advancing technology, right? So it's like, I'm trying to think how I can put this. Okay, right. Let's destroy all this negativity when it comes to the topic. So, if people didn't want things to evolve, we'd still have tank controls and Resident Evil. If people didn't want third-person shooters to evolve, like how they did with Gears, we'd still be controlling characters with the character in the center of the screen and it being all floaty. That's how games would still play now. Mm-hmm. Let's look at first-person shooters. Oh, not being able to sprint in the game is a bit weird. Master Chief not being able to grab ledges is a bit weird. An organization, a government, would not spend billions on super soldier technology if they couldn't run or even climb. What would be the point? Like, he can climb into a tank, but he can't climb a ledge.
Like, dude, that is one of the best points I've heard so far from somebody, man.
Like it just bothers me because I've been playing Halo since CE. I've been playing since the damn original Xbox, and I think I have a say as much as anyone else. Like, let Master Chief evolve. I don't want the same old crap decades later. Like, come on, man. It's 2020, and we still arguing about online about if Master Chief should bloody run. He's a super soldier. What do people want? And it's like people wanting to have this. And the thing, this is this thing. Like, I've never once complained about Master Chief's new armor, quote unquote, going old again online, because I'd turn into the annoying arseats I see on Twitter all the time, arguing about bloody, how the armor looks. And the thing is, if people are happy about how the armor looks now, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
I don't mind how his armor looks. It is very clean, right? You know what I'm saying? It's got a crispness to it, and I don't necessarily mind how it looks. Like, do I prefer Halo 5 and Halo 4's kind of like Master Chief armor? Probably a little bit more. It's got a little more detail to it. Like you said, when it comes to things like his trigger finger and stuff like that, that attention to detail that they brought that into the character model, I really like that. But I'm not going to sit there and complain about this armor and just not think about the rest of the game. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not gonna be that person.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: people can disagree with me. People can like the old style armor, and that's perfectly fine. My problem is that for years now, I've had people shove it in our faces saying, "Oh, Master Chief shouldn't look like this. Master Chief shouldn't run. Master Chief shouldn't be able to grab ledges." And I say, why? Games evolve. All games evolve. Like I said, Resident Evil. If FIFA stayed how it was back in 2008, or sorry, 2007, FIFA wouldn't be as big as it is today. They evolved the series. Resident Evil is a much bigger series now. Can you imagine if Resident Evil 8 coming out next year was a third-person tank control game? That game would not crack
Tank
2 million.
control, set cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like as you go into the hallway, it's only a camera looking a certain way, and stuff like that. Yeah, no.
It's like, okay, and here's the thing, right? Assassin's Creed, one of my favorite franchises of all time. Do you know that in the first Assassin's Creed game, you could only assassinate people in 2 ways? Number one, standing right next to them. Number two, throwing daggers at a distance. But you could only throw daggers at people that were on the same level as you. So you essentially only had one way to do it. But
Yeah.
in the sequel, you could assassinate from benches, from hay bales, from rooftops, jumping from walls, pulling them from ledges, from the flying thingy. Like you could assassinate enemies in so many different ways compared to the first game, where it was literally within 2 years or whatever, it was an evolutionary jump. So much that people were like, "Oh, this should have been a new gen game," because it was like so different and they added so much. And then we go back to Halo, and it's like people want all these franchises to move forward, but not Halo. We have to go back to the old style armor. We have to go back to just being able to walk. It makes no sense. And then people complain about, Halo 5 being like, a bad campaign. It's like, look at everything aesthetically in Halo 4 and 5. It looks practical. It looks lived in. It looks useful. It looks like how you'd actually use items and stuff. But in Halo CE through to 3, everything's got this like blocky look to it with like less detail. And to me, it's like, isn't that the whole point of getting new advancements in technology? Like originally, wasn't Master Chief meant to be able to run, but they didn't because of, hardware limitations? Because the game would have to stream in like, the world faster.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, wasn't Chief meant to run all along? Isn't that why he can run in cutscenes? Isn't that why he can climb ledges in cutscenes? Why can he climb a tank but not a wall? Again, it made no sense.
Dude, the tank and climb a tank but can't climb a ledge. I think that is the most grounded thing I have heard within the argument of going between old school Halo and new school Halo. And Jamie, if you don't mind, we got our first super chat of the night, and I want to shout out Master Sith 40 for being that man. Thank you so much. He says, Halo 3 purists see new Halos as a dumbing down. And the funny thing is, that's true. They say, and what I think they are actually saying when they're talking about a dumbing down, they're trying to say it's trying to be too much like Call of Duty. Now, if they ever just kind of like, I still think that like Halo 5's multiplayer still has the heart of Halo, because you're dealing with the shields that are on the Spartans, and there's still a certain amount of strategy that is involved with taking down the shields, getting down the shields, and then taking out that Spartan in front of you. There's still a certain one-on-one strategy there that is so Halo. It is so the pure Halo. It's just quicker. It's just quicker with more kind of like maneuverability, but I feel like the heart of Halo multiplayer is still in Halo 5, and I feel like those Halo 3 purists, they have gotten accustomed to certain strategies to take out people in Halo 3's multiplayer, and they don't want to give those strategies up. They want to keep using those strategies in Halo 4, in Halo 5, in Halo Infinite, and they haven't been able to. And I think that's why for a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, but for a lot of them, I think that's why they are upset, because they have to come out now with new strategies, and they have to kind of start at the bottom rung of the ladder when they might have been at the mid to top of the ladder before, using those Halo 3 kind of like known strategies to take out Spartans. And that's what I think a lot of these people are complaining about.
Yeah, and the thing is, look, I will never say that anyone's wrong for wanting something, but it's like, why is it every single game and genre can evolve over years in the decades, but Halo has to be this one little piddly thing that stays the same? Because, like, did people complain about Spartans having mech suits in Halo Legends? No, no, they didn't. People didn't complain. People are okay with all this different stuff being in other mediums for the Halo franchise. But when it comes to games, Precious Master Chief has to be able to just walk to his next destination as he's trying to save the universe.
Has to
Again,
lumber, not even walk, a lumber. Doom, doom, doom,
yeah,
doom, doom,
like go
doom.
back and play the first Halo game. That walking just is unnecessary. It really is. And the thing is, it's like, again, I don't want to play the same game for the rest of my life. People should just move on. And
Jamie, when was the last time you went back and played, like, Halo 1, 2, or 3? Has it been a while? Like, when have you? Because I've gone back and tried to play them, and I have great memories of them, and the stories, I can still go in and play the stories, no problem. But when it comes to the multiplayer, to me now, it feels so slow and sluggish compared to what I've been used to with, like, Halo 5, and even before that, to a certain extent, Halo 4, which Halo 4's multiplayer, I will give a lot of those Halo communities their props for, because with the ordnance drops and stuff like that, it did feel like they were trying to be more Call of Duty-ish, but they fixed a lot of that with Halo 5. And I just went, going back and playing, like, Halo 1, 2, or 3, and going back into the multiplayer, to me, it feels like Master Chief in molasses to me, man. What have you gone back and tried to play these?
yeah, I did a few months ago, and it's borderline unplayable. Like, will I play them again? Absolutely, but it's just like it plays against how you feel like you should move. Because if an enemy is shooting at us, shouldn't I be able to run? Shouldn't I be able to hide, climb a ledge or something? It's like, no, I don't have that option. I can do a crouch jump if I want, but
Yeah, crouch
come
jump.
on.
There you go.
And it's like, okay, but why is crouch jumping okay, but not grabbing ledges? And the thing is, right, I've seen this argument a lot, right? It's like Halo's decline happened because of, Bungie or 343. And the thing is, they're wrong. Because Halo Reach was made by Bungie and it wasn't as big as people thought it was going to be.
Oh, dude, that got heavily criticized when it came out, man.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a Bungie game.
Yeah.
Yes, people, people are all up in arms about 343 making the game, and it's like, why? Like that made no sense to me. And here's the thing: does anyone else find a coincidence that Halo's popularity started to go down with multiplayer when Call of Duty got huge? Because as I was saying on the last episode, that all my friends that played Halo gravitated towards Call of Duty because the barrier to entry for multiplayer is just not as high. Like, you don't have to worry about an enemy shields or any of that. You just have to worry about who can pop off the first shot. Halo requires tactics.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying Call of Duty doesn't require tactics, but in
Call
COD,
Call of Duty is more of a Twitch shooter at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like that is, and I think even Call of Duty fans, they know that they've embraced that in terms of what that game is. Where I feel like Halo, like you said, there's a level of strategy there. And of course, Call of Duty has strategy. A lot of people use camping as their strategy as well in that game. But there's other strategies that people use and stuff. But with Halo, like you said, with the shields, like I think, Jamie, we're both in agreement here. The shields and everything like that, it adds a layer. It adds a layer of intensity and of strategic maneuvers and aiming that you just really don't get from other shooters out there, man.
Yeah, I mean, think about it like this: with Call of Duty, all you have to worry about who can pop off the first shot in the most vulnerable, space.
Yeah.
Chest ahead. But with Halo, each interaction with another enemy opponent is like a miniature game of chess. You have to worry about where they're coming from, how you're going to wear down the shields while you survive, and then survive long enough to take them out.
Yeah.
Now,
that's why they even have something called a reversal for a medal. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is, like Halo is just a harder franchise to get into. It's like, look at Gears of War. That barrier to entry is about 10 miles high for me, right, for the
Yeah.
multiplayer. But I've played other third-person shooters for multiplayer that are a lot easier, and I enjoyed it more. And it's the same like that with Call of Duty for other people. It's like people have to stop blaming 343 for everything, and stop, arguing online about everything. It's like, of course it should have evolved, and the multiplayer start dying, and relatively, because of Call of Duty's popularity. And the thing is, we have YouTube channels dedicated to bashing Halo all the time, and it's like, give it a bloody rest. Like, come on. It's just like, I just don't get it. It's like, if The Witcher 2 stayed like The Witcher 1, we wouldn't have a Witcher 3.
Yeah.
They had
Dude,
they had
great
to evolve
point.
the franchise. So 10 years when we get a second Cyberpunk, like, if they're going to evolve that game a lot as well. Hell, there was meant to be wall running in that game, but they took it out, and it's like, we have to get to a point where we have to stop arguing about Halo Online all the time. And the thing is, I've played the game since the original Xbox. I have as much say as anyone else. And just because I prefer sprint, because I prefer ledge grab, that makes me wrong? No.
No, dude. And that's the thing. Don't ever let anybody say that your opinion on that is wrong. And again, this is from my experience in the community. And I'm not throwing that entire community under the bus. There are a lot of great people in that community. And what I'm saying is that vocal minority, again, it's a saying that just keeps ringing true. The vocal minority screams the loudest, and unfortunately, like, there are signs that 343 has been listening to that vocal minority. Now, Jamie, there's somebody in the chat I do wanna give a shout out to, and that is Ron B, because with everything that me and you are going back and forth and talking about, I think Ron B kind of like summed it up perfectly. He said 343 is being pulled in all directions. They need to make Halo its own game. And I think that perfectly sums up what we're saying here. When it comes down to it, let them make the game that they want to make. You know what I'm saying? But that vocal minority, they're always going to be loud, and they're always going to say something. They're never going to be happy. Even if they try to cater to them 100%, I can almost guarantee that they will still find something to complain about, and they'll just go on complaining about that.
Yeah, I mean, why is it okay for everyone? Excuse me. Why is it okay for everyone to want a developer to follow their passion, their dreams, make the game that they want? But as soon as we talk about Halo, we're not allowed to let the developers make what they want. We have to make them make what the loud, annoying minority wants. It makes no sense. Like, and that's the reason why I hardly ever talk about Halo Online, because the second you talk about it, is that you get those people jumping in saying, "Oh, I'm worried about how it's going to look. Oh, I'm worried about 343. Oh, 343 should work on something else." It's like, shut up, man.
breathe, Jamie. Breathe. Don't go crazy on me. But yo, we can give a shout out to Jesse Darby. Yo, Jesse Darby's like, "Good evening, everyone. Xbot, how y'all guys doing?" We're doing great, and even better now that you're here, Jesse. It is always good to see you. Jamie, I don't know if you know, but Jesse is a regular on this channel, so it's always good. Hold on, let's I see something here I might want to read, because it sounds like we are getting props here. Hold up 1 second. Sorry about the delay here, guys. Yo, Gotham guy, what is up, bro? He says, "Xbot, your show is really good. It's refreshing to hear your topics and opinions without getting cut off by other panel members, not letting you get a word in edgewise. Keep up the great work." Well, Gotham guy, I definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate my partner in crime, Jamie, doing the show with me as well. And if you do like this, we also have the next podcast on this channel, which is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is another place where you'll be able to hear not only my opinions, but we have K-Mega, we have Predator, we have Dark Optimus, and we have Crispy Bomb as well. So if you like this show, and I'm very glad you do, and this is me and Jamie, I think you will also like next podcast if you haven't checked that out as well. But Jamie, we have been going quite long when it comes to this whole Halo thing. We have gone at least a half hour over what we usually expect to go, and I kind of figured we would because we've been gone for a few weeks. You get all that energy kind of pent up inside you. You want to talk about this, you want to talk about that. But Jamie, I think we got to let these guys go and let them go play their games and do what they got to do, man. So do you have any final thoughts before we get into the outros here?
Yeah, I'm losing my voice.
Dude, it's all that energy, man. We can't go 3 weeks without talking to these guys anymore. Like, it can't happen.
I think whenever Halo gets brought up, especially like if you listen to the last episode, Halo gets brought up and it's probably the longest topic. The thing is, Halo is a very contentious thing, whether people agree with me or not. And here's the thing: everyone doesn't have to agree with me. They can disagree with me on every topic, unless it's Mass Effect because everyone else is wrong. But still, it's like I think it needs to be talked about. And again, I have my feelings about Halo. And it just is what it is, and it's good. We are gonna have these topics that do end up going a bit into the night, but yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, nah, man. It just shows like the dedication. It shows how much we pay attention to this stuff as well. Not only that, we try to get the truth out there. When it comes down to it, so many people have so many different opinions. There's so much kind of like misinformation going on when it comes to the Xbox as well. And shout out to Makai 2B or 28 sorry, Makai 28. Shout out to you hitting up that super chat. He says, when you get big enough, don't let other panel members cut you off. Yo, brother, thank you so much for the super chat. And I think tonight, Jamie has been really patient with me because I feel like I've cut him off on every single topic. So, Jamie, I appreciate your patience once again. Dude, I think I've been sent here to test your patience all the way through. And so far, you have passed every single test, man. You got to be proud of yourself, bro.
Hey man, I'm just a simple gamer from the northeast. I'm patient, and hey, look, I'll admit I'm a big ass game nerd. Like I know too much about this crap than I probably should. And like I spend more time reading about games than I should. Like it's like, and the thing is, these podcasts we get to talk about it more, so which I'm always up for.
Yo, shout out to Jesse. The funny thing about that, and I know you're referencing Griffin Gaming, right? I was messing with Crap Gamer about keeping that same energy. And the funny thing was, on Crossfire, when I said that, he would say something like, I hate that saying, or something like that. And I always thought I was just saying it to be real. I never realized that somebody made a video where they just completely kind of copied him saying keep that same energy and stuff. And again, shout out to Griffin Gaming. If Griffin Gaming ever does a video about the next podcast, I will be the first person in line to watch it, and I will laugh my ass off. I don't take any of his videos seriously. I think they are incredibly funny, and I really wish, because I strongly believe that we were following each other on Twitter when he was on Twitter. I really wish I would have communicated with him more, because I just think it's funny what he does, and I really think it's funny when people take him seriously as well. So, but yeah, I've used that whole same energy without knowing that somebody was kind of getting at Crap Gamer about the whole same energy thing. But shout out to Crap Gamer, shout out to Mooch, shout out to Griffin. At the end of the day, we're all talking about games here. I have love for everybody, no matter what. All right, when it comes down to it, we're talking about video games, and I'm not going to take video games seriously to the point where I'm like, oh, I can't stand this person or I can't stand that person. Crap and Mooch, they have helped me kind of like grow my channel as well. Yo, shout out to the Ashton Luca hitting up that super chat. She says, "Happy you are back, brother. Happy to see you in the chat, Luca. Were you creeping? Were you lurking? Is that what was going on? And then you decided that you're going to show up. Thank you for the super chat. And if you were lurking, I absolutely appreciate that as well. Me and Jamie, we accept all lurkers, all people in the chat that are talking as well. We accept all you guys. But yeah, my bad, my bad, Jamie. I cut you off one more time there.
That's all good. I'm just I'm trying to trying to speak without coughing now.
Okay, so you know what I'm gonna take that cue, and we are definitely gonna wind it down. Yes, full RDNA 2 Chipmunk, and you know what's the good thing about that? With having full RDNA 2 in the Series X, when developers are making games for PC, they're basically using the same exact API. They're having the same functionality graphically, all right, that they can put on the Series X. It makes development from going from PC to the Series X, or from the Series X to PC, makes it seamless. All right, that is the biggest advantage of having full RDNA 2 when it comes to Xbox and developers and PC. So just keep that in mind. Yo, shout out to Yobi. Jamie, Yobi wants to be the first guest on the Series X podcast. Do you think that's something we should talk about?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
All right,
I'm up for anything, man.
All right, brother. But yo, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I really, really do appreciate it. Guys, I appreciate the patience. I know, I haven't been on my channel for 3 weeks, and trust me, I was counting every single day. I love doing this. I will be honest with you guys. I would love making this my job, all right? But one thing that I always decided, one thing I decided when I first started doing this channel is this channel is going to grow and get bigger naturally. Like, I'm not going to do any of the kind of like shady things to build this channel up. I'm always going to be myself. I'm always going to get people to do shows with me that I respect, that I think come across with awesome kind of like opinions and things to talk about. I'm never going to do kind of like those dirty tactics to try to get this channel to grow. But I will let you know, like, one of my main goals with this was to do this to a point where I could earn, like, 40-hour-a-week paychecks, and this could be my job. I'm not going to, that I'm being 100% honest with you guys. And hopefully one day it will happen. But until then, one thing I will let you guys know, you won't see me do kind of like sketchy things to try to get more subscribers and stuff like that. What you hear of me now is what you're going to hear of me for as long as I'm on YouTube. And I thank you guys for all the support. Thank you guys so much. But on that note, Jamie, we gotta get in on our outros. You have an awesome YouTube channel. You are very active on social media with Twitter. I do have the links in the description below, but let people know, it's good to hear. So let people know about the Elusive Gamer. Let people know about your Twitter and where they can go to talk games with you, brother.
Yeah, it's been an awesome show, man. And again, we have new consoles coming out and new games coming out soon, so a lot more to talk about. But yeah, my YouTube is The Elusive Gamer, where I talk about Xbox stuff. Again, I do not talk about other platforms. I may, mention other companies in general passing, but it's literally just Xbox, and I just keep it Xbox. And tomorrow I have a video coming out. Hopefully, if my voice is feeling any better.
Dude, I took it all. I took it all for this show, man. I feel bad.
Yeah, I think the RayTracing, the Halo thing just got me a bit, amped. But yeah, I have a video coming out tomorrow, hopefully, which is obviously Xbox related. And I have some really interesting stuff coming out, hopefully by the end of the year, if not early 2021, which is something unique for the community to watch. I'm calling it original programming. I'll just say that. But yeah, that should be out in a few months or whatever. And my Twitter's Jamie Man UK, where again, Twitter and jokes, game and stuff.
Nice, brother. And of course, guys, you will always find me here on this channel. As always, looking to get this sucker to grow. And with all the support I've been getting from you guys, it is only a matter of time. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We are here every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. To kind of at least somewhat accommodate Jamie, who lives across the pond. Like, he starts this show at 11 o'clock, all right, for me and for you guys out there. So, give Jamie a round of applause. Go follow him on Twitter. Go follow his YouTube channel. This dude is an awesome guy. Loves to joke around. Loves to talk about Xbox. If you haven't done it yet, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at xbot448. If you like the content coming from this channel, and only if you have the means to do so, consider joining the channel. Like, as I get more members onto this channel, I'm gonna think about doing perks, kind of like, maybe different kind of like live streams and stuff like that when it comes to the members, and only if you can do so. All right, because I know times are hard when it comes to economics. This whole thing going on around the world. But if you ever feel like you wanna support this channel in the long term, consider becoming a member and hitting that join button. But again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Another Sunday in the books. SeriesX podcast is back. The next podcast is back. And not only that, I'm also, when I can, streaming games on this channel as well. You guys are absolutely amazing. I hope you guys have a great night. And, we will see you again next Sunday. But just remember to keep it gaming and keep it Xbox. Later, everybody.